here. This is our second official Zoom of the new year. We had exercise this morning, so if you joined us for that, thank you very much. Every Tuesday at 10:45, 11 o'clock a.m., we do exercise with Kim. So if you'd like to join us for that, please do. Today we have a topic I'm really excited to learn a lot about, especially given my community background from when I used to work in communities. We've got Sullivan and Sullivan here, also part of Senior Downsizing Experts, and they are going to be talking today about what aging in the right place looks like. Okay, there is a such thing as aging in place, but there's a right place and a right way to do it. So I am going to turn everything over to them. Make sure you stick around because they are also going to be giving away 2 of their books at the end. So that's why I was quiet today. I was getting everyone's names to put on our wheel. So they're going to be giving away the Ultimate Guide to Downsizing, which, Ingrid, show us that book. I got you up there. And this is also available on Amazon. So you can reach out to them at the phone number listed below. Or you can go to their website, give them a call. They can help you find that on Amazon if you aren't lucky enough to win one and it's still something that you're interested in. As you can see, they are with Keller Williams Realty. So they really know what they're talking about when it comes to moving, and they have definitely fine-tuned it down as far as the needs of our area seniors. So Ingrid, I am going to turn it over to you. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you having us here today, and I appreciate the opportunity to share our topic today. I know that this topic for a lot of people we have found has really been important, and especially with the interesting year that we've just come through. There's a lot of people that are, thinking about what does this look like for them. So we're going to go ahead and share some great details with you. I know that a lot of what we're going to be sharing today will be available to you after our seminar as well. And as I mentioned, we're going to have time for Q&A, and we'll be doing our giveaway that will also give you some ideas on what I'm going to be talking about today. So we've prepared a PowerPoint presentation for you today. What does aging in the right place look like? And, that's really an important question because most of us have heard the term downsizing, and that's either a good thing or you wonder about what that looks like. But the right place is something that really matters. We all started out in our homes when we were kids, and then we moved out to maybe our first apartment, and that was the right place because it was the right size for us at that time. And then as time went on, we had families. We were maybe in our first home, and that was the right size, and our families grew. So we needed to get something bigger so that it would be the right size. But as time goes on for us and we get older and become empty nesters, sometimes that big old house that we've loved having parties, et cetera, at in the past may not be the right size or the right place for us at this time. So we want to talk about what that looks like. What we have here for you is just some slides. Just briefly, this is my team. I'm Ingrid Sullivan. As Zoe mentioned earlier, I'm a real estate agent, and that's kind of how we got our start with our interest in our business, which focuses primarily on 55 years and older. My husband is John Sullivan, and we've learned a lot of the things that we're sharing with you today through our parents as well as our clients. Debbie Ford's with us today as well. She's going to be helping with some Q&A, and she is a great resource on our team. She pretty much manages all these things that we do and helps put together these presentations. And then our son joined us last year. He is a new addition to our team. So now we're Sullivan, Sullivan, and Sullivan. We got the 3 S's out there. So excuse me, Zoe's already mentioned, and you guys are pretty much seasoned Zoomers. So you know how to answer questions for later and the different views that you need to be on. And just keep in mind that if you have a burning question, it might be a good idea just to put it in the chat for right now, because we're going to get to everybody's questions. But it keeps us going and keeps our momentum going. So we'll ask you to do that. So let's take a look at this first slide that we have here on the screen. Living in the right place for today and tomorrow. Look at the different adaptations that I've got there for you. On the left, staying put, retrofitting my house, or maybe remodeling my house because I'm going to stay put, or I might want to relocate. And when I relocate, I might want to rent something this time because I'm not sure if I'm going to stay there or if I really want to have another mortgage. Or for some of you, which we found, you are more interested in maybe building one last house that's going to be the right size with all the right amenities, with the wider doorways, etc. That might be a choice for you. But these are things that we all think about. For some of you, you already made those changes. For some of you, you might have friends that are kind of thinking about what do they need to do. So you can be helpful in guiding them as we go through our presentation with some ideas that you have. So let's talk about the impact of living alone, because that's really going to be an important decision for you. You know, I'm not going to read through the whole slide here, but some of the things that we have that are really important. When you're by yourself, the isolation itself can cause things like, or maybe the reason for possibly heart disease, obesity, maybe a weakened immune system, depression, cognitive decline. I know for a lot of us being in our homes and sheltering in place, maybe when it wasn't our choice this past year, a lot of those things have become real factors for us. Depression has really been on the rise for a lot of people because we can't get out and be with people. And we all have a need to be with people, whether it's in our churches on the weekend or grocery shopping or with our families. I know of several families that did not get to spend the holiday together because of where we are right now. But you know, we're on the mend. We're going to be changing that. We're all going to look forward to this year changing and being different. Anxiety, feeling unsafe, which can really be magnified when you're alone because you're not around people that are talking about their day's activities, etc. And you're wondering about you being alone and having somebody to talk to. That makes a big difference. You know, our lives are different now. For a lot of us, we're empty nesters, but we still have that need to talk to people and find out what's going on in their life. Lack of help. You know, this is an important thing. We lost my mother-in-law this year at 98. She lived a really great life. And for her, she was just ready. She wasn't COVID or anything like that. But one of the things that we found before she made her move when she was in her 70s is that we would always worry about her, because think of it this way. If you just kind of picture this right now, in your neighborhood, typically in the morning, in the neighborhoods of today, you may see the garage doors going up, kids with their backpacks getting in the car, everybody's off to work and to school, garage door goes down. That's the day for the day. And then at the end of the day, 5:30, 6 o'clock, garage door comes up, the car pulls in, the kids get out, the garage doors go down, they're in their home, dinner and whatever else they're doing. And you have to ask yourself, how many of your neighbors really know you're there? Do they know that you're there by yourself? Do they know what you're doing? So having that lack of help if something happens to you is really important. And of course, the other thing that we're all very much aware of and cautioned of all the time is that the older we get, unfortunately, one of the leading causes of death for older adults is falling. So we really need to be careful there. You know, accidental overdoses. I mean, that's another thing. This slide says for every additional birthday, you get birthday gifts, but you also get more medication in a lot of cases. So at that point, you know, some of those pills are the same color as the other pills. Is it morning, afternoon? Do I remember if I took it? Sometimes living alone, those are hard things to remember. Malnutrition. If you were living with someone that did most of the cooking, and you're not such a great cook yourself, you really don't do much grocery shopping now, are you living on less? My mother-in-law loved weenies and Oreo cookies. The weenies were for the puppy and the Oreo cookies were for her until she made a move and had really a better, well-balanced meal. So think about some of your eating habits. Or are you eating too much of that stuff you shouldn't, just because it's what's convenient? How about doing chores? Living alone, the urgency of vacuuming, dusting, organizing, some of those things become just too much to handle, or you just don't feel like it. Not really important anymore. Who's going to know? Here's the other part that I really want you to take a look at is that when you're living around other individuals, in a retirement community, in a neighborhood that's active, or with your spouse at home, those people are with you every day and they're more likely to notice if something would change with you, a symptom might change with you. Whereas when you're by yourself, it's not as obvious because you're the same old person you look at in the mirror every day, unless it's something really critical. And then, of course, you would know. Keeping those things in mind. So, here are some things to keep in mind as well as we kind of move forward in our presentation and give you some ideas. Is your home safe for aging in place? You know, we recommend when you think about, well, where do I start and how do I know if it is that you have a home assessment or a consultation. You have someone come out and have a look to see where you're living now, and is it safe for you to live in, and if it isn't, what could you do to change that? Because your goal is to stay in your home. Now, we've created a link for you, which we'll make available again to you later. If you're interested in having someone like myself or someone from my team, just come and have a look to see, is my home safe for me to live in, or what would I change? We would love to give you an assessment. No commitment on that, no fee for that, but just kind of give you some ideas on what do I do to change that, because I'm going to stay here for now. You know, what's your goal? Is it safety? Is it simplicity? Is it longevity? Is it necessity? What is your goal right now for aging in the right place? I know a lot of you have thought about that. I'd be interested in hearing in the end what your thoughts were and what's your plan for, let's say, just this year. What does that look like? So, some maintenance costs for you to consider. We all know that owning a home or a condo, a duplex, something like that, there's costs that come with that. There's responsibilities that come with that. We live in a place here in Texas where the foundation is a factor. You know, in my business as a real estate agent, we say this, it doesn't matter if you have foundation work to be done, it's when you will have it, because sooner or later, all of us have something like that, even new homes. Is the ductwork in good shape where the air is coming through the vents for you from your heater and air conditioning? What does that look like? When's the last time you were up there and looked at that? I can tell you I had mine replaced 2 years ago, and oh my goodness, it was shreds in the attic. We really had no idea because we're not up there all the time. What are the windows like? Can you see through them? Do they need to be changed? What's your roof like? I'm sure you've had that question asked in the past. When's the last time you replaced your roof? Are there brown spots on your ceiling? Is there some leaking that's going on there? Is your air conditioner cooling like you expect it to? Or maybe you now have a need for a window unit because it's not working as well as it used to. What's your flooring like? Do you have old carpet in your home that maybe has the waves like you would see in water because it needs to be stretched? Or have you changed over to a harder surface floor so that you can navigate easier? You know, a lot of these different maintenance costs we've found through our business could easily cost you 30,000 or more if those things are needing to be done, which is the reason for you to have an assessment to make sure that things are in good shape and will last as long as you intend to stay there. Food, we talked about eating. Eating is important. No matter where you live, it's important. We want to make sure that you have good nutrition. And right now, and even this year, this past year, with all of the changes that we had through COVID, there's been lots of food delivery options. You've got, of course, the traditional pizza, Chinese food, that kind of thing. Grocery delivery. I know that Debbie has told us in our office how many times she really enjoys having her groceries delivered to her home. Walmart, Kroger, Instacart, even Amazon now, which we do a lot of shopping at these days, will bring groceries to you. So that's a nice convenience to have. Restaurant delivery services, Grubhub, DoorDash, Uber Eats, Favor, places that you can actually call and order and they'll bring it to your door. And then you're tipping the gentleman that's bringing the food to your door. Or for some of you that still really like to cook, but you just don't want to have large portions, you've got options like Blue Ribbon or Blue Apron or Hello Fresh. My husband and I have used HelloFresh several times in the past. It's really nice because we can say, we want meals for two people, not for four, not for six, but for two people. And these are the things we like to eat. And we would have 3 meals delivered to us a week. So we'd have to plan for 4 other meals during the week that we would be doing something different on. But boy, it was sure nice because in my case, we're not big leftover eaters. So we never had to worry about having things left behind that grew their own personality in our refrigerator. How about this? Hot meal delivery. So I want you to check on this. I've had an opportunity to not only share Meals on Wheels with my mother who lived out of state, but I have been a volunteer with Meals on Wheels, and I've actually been in their kitchen and helped prepare meals, and they do an amazing job. They have a nutritionist on staff. People that receive their services are their medical needs are noted, and they get the right types of food delivered to them every single day of the week with extras for the weekend. So if that's something that you want to consider, you might give them a call. You know, a lot of people have the idea that Meals on Wheels is only for people that are income stretched. And it's not necessarily the case. They look for individuals that can't get out anymore, that can't drive, that need extra help. So I would encourage you to give them a call and see what they could do for you if that's of interest. It's a great opportunity operation. So how about in-home care? So I'm going to stay in my home, but I need to have some services there. And I believe my insurance will cover that. Home care meets the non-medical needs. So there's lots of different home care companies that are out there in the Metroplex. And when you're looking for just home care, as you can see on the column on the left, bathing, dressing, grooming, you might need somebody just to come out a few days a week and just, help you wash your hair and help you bathe. Or maybe you need somebody to stop by once a day and help you with that. We've got incontinence care. We have people that can help transfer from the bed to the wheelchair, those kinds of things, or people that just need medical reminders. Often, the home care companies will come in and they'll do light meal preparation for you. They'll do light housekeeping and laundry, shopping, that kind of thing, which is really nice because it just helps you sustain and stay in your home for as long as you can. If you have higher level of care needs and you're still in your home, then you want to look to home health care that has medical needs like post-surgical care. So for an example, maybe you had a knee replacement or a hip replacement, and you're needing someone to come and help you with rehab or physical therapy every day. There's companies that do that. They also help you with the delivery of your medication, whereas a home care company can send you a reminder, but not necessarily sort out your medication for you. Occupational therapy and IV therapy are other things. Now, if that's something that you're thinking, well, that is something I need, and who do I call, and do I need two different companies? I know that that's something that we can help you with. We just recently met a service called Nurse Next Door, and they do both at one time. That would be one company, and there's several others out there as well to touch base with and see if your insurance will meet those needs as well to help you with the expense. Here's some other considerations. Staying at home, we have chores, right? We have chores like who's going to mow the lawn? Probably not wanting to do that. I know for my husband and I, that's not something that he really can do any longer. So we have somebody that comes in every 2 weeks and mows our lawn and edges it and that kind of thing. So that's important. Do you still have a pool in your home? Do you, and you're maybe you're not using it, but it still needs to be attended to. That would be a pool service that you're going to be looking for. Or how about routine home maintenance, changing out the filters, making sure that there isn't any wood on the outside of your home that's exposed that needs to have paint on it, because when it's exposed, it attracts termites, for example. Help with your pets. We all have pets and they're a great um, partner to us to have in our homes, especially as we're aging. But are we able to go out and walk our pets? Are we afraid to travel anywhere to visit anybody because we can't take our pets with us? My husband and I just recently had a couple of trips, business trips this year, and we found somebody. It's really important to us that our pets get the same care and that their environment isn't changed because we're changing. So we have somebody come in and spend the night with them, stay with them at the house, uh, feed them their meals, they sleep in their beds. And that is really a great service to have. And there are people out there that do a really great job with that you can trust being in your home. Let's talk about some do it yourself projects. So, lighting is really important. It seems like the older we get, the light is a problem for us. I know even with driving, dusk can be an issue when the sun is going down, to be able to distinguish things as well as you used to. Inside your home, there are light bulbs now that you might consider. They're LED light bulbs. Not only do they last longer, but they're a lot brighter. Having night lights in the important traffic areas of your home, having motion sensitive lights. Um, my mother had lights in her home in the living room, in the bathroom, the hallway, and in her bedroom. That as she would make her way, because she was living alone, as she would make her way through the house, they were set off by her motion. And it was really helpful to her to have those because she counted on those to guide her through the house. Remove tripping hazards. So we all know about tripping hazards. The one that I would tell you, especially if you're a pet lover, you might want to think about picking up the dog toys before you go to bed at night, or the cat toys. I've gotten up in the middle of the night and my dogs have a couple of bones that they just love to have. And it's not fun when you step on those things in the middle of the night, and they can also cause you to trip. So think about removing tripping hazards, carpets, um, things that you are left laying on the floor. Secure the rugs to the floor if you feel like you need to have it there, especially if you're living in a home with hard surfaces. It's nice to have a rug there. Still on do it yourself projects, changing those door handles to lever handles. I think that's probably one of the greatest changes that's come about. It makes it so much easier, especially if you have arthritis, to be able to open those handles without having to grip that knob and turn it one way or the other. Adding seats and rubber bath mats to the tub or shower. That's really nice. You can get those now if you don't have those in your shower, a portable seat that you can place in there to make it easier on you. Make sure to adjust the hot water heater temperature to 120 or below so that it's not too hot for you when you get in your shower. Installing smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. Now, I will tell you that a lot of you may say, oh, I've got that already. The fire department comes out once a year and they change things out. If that's not happening for you, you want to check to make sure what you really have is working, because just because it's there on the ceiling or on the wall doesn't necessarily mean it's operational. And boy, that sure is important to you. Um, I've got add large house numbers to the outside, to the curb. Do you know why those are important? Not just for people coming to visit you, but also for the emergency vehicles. It makes it so much easier for them to find you when those numbers are on the curb, because sometimes the ones that you have on the outside of your mailbox are not that legible at night. So think about getting that done. That's an easy thing to do. I love the last one that we have here. Keep a phone and car keys near the bed. You may have heard about this before, but you know, on your key fob, most of us have a key fob for our cars right now. There is that red button that's an alert button that scares you half to death when you set it off by yourself and not intentionally. But having that laying on your nightstand, if you hear something going on outside that you're not sure about what that noise is, you can hit that button, and of course it's going to set your car alarm off. Not only is it going to wake up your neighbors, but whoever's trying to get into your car, they're on their way out of there as well. So it's a great safety tool for you to have for yourself and your vehicle, and to protect yourself. You can also do that if you're in a parking garage and trying to get to your car and you feel unsafe about getting there. Set off that car alarm. Projects for professionals in your home. So let's talk more about retrofitting your home so that it fits better for you. So we have some things here on the slide that I want to point out to you. Notice the gentleman on the left, wheelchair accessible cooktop. So here's what they've done on that island there. You see that they've got the cooktop there in front of him, and underneath that may have been a place to store pots and pans. But maybe you don't have that many or need that many anymore because you are not cooking as much as you used to. Maybe you choose to have those drawers removed so that if you are wheelchair bound, you can pull up closer to the cooktop and make your meals. Raising the outlets is important instead of having to bend over to plug something in. With respect to the cooktop, or the island is really where I'm going with that. We've got some friends that actually just built a home for themselves, and they've got a lever on the outside of their island that allows their island to either raise higher, depending upon what it is that they're going to be doing there, or to raise lower to fit for her because she's in a wheelchair and she needs the countertop to be lower. And they also like to use that when their grandkids come over. So that's another idea. In the newer homes right now, they're doing things like raising the dishwasher so that you don't have to bend over to load it. If you're using it, you can actually reach it easier, or setting up different countertop heights. These are all good projects to consider if you're going to age in place, but they're also good things for you to have a home assessment for, so that you can see, is it even doable? Is it something I should consider? And if so, what is that going to cost to make those changes? And how will it impact me now while I'm living here and impact me later when I'm done with my home? More on professional projects. Smart home features, as you see here on the right hand, changing from the switches for the light switches to the levers. It makes it so much easier. Security cameras. How about a Ring doorbell, where you can actually get a notification on your smartphone and see who is at your door, whether you're at home or not. Peepholes on your door, depending upon you. I know since I've made a move here to Texas, I'm formerly from Colorado. My sweet husband brought me here to Texas with him. I have gotten smaller. So my peephole needs to come down a little bit so I can see through it better. I feel like the witch in the Wizard of Oz. I'm shrinking. I don't know if any of you can relate to that, but it certainly has happened. I've gone from 5'6" to 5'4". So there you go. Photo sensor porch lights, that's important. Outdoor floodlights, motion sensors. Those are all things that are nice to do when you are going to be aging in what's the right place for you right now. But you really want to have somebody have a look at that and see, is it doable to change the lighting there? Can those switches be changed to that? Can you install the outside lighting so that it comes on with motion? Nice to have an assessment ahead of time so that you have an idea if it's doable versus paying a contractor and then they leave and say, sorry, we can't help you. Here's something else that we want to talk about. We all have talked about falls in many different places, but just things to keep in mind. If you're living in a two-story home, for example, falls are really important. I myself, this last year, was diagnosed with I get what's called osteopenia. I understand that if I don't take good care of myself, that could be the onset to osteoporosis. And my doctor said, you really need to be careful when you're out walking your dog and try to avoid falls as much as possible because the healing process may be longer than you expect. So that's something for me that's really important. 1 out of 4 Americans age 65 plus or older fall every year. And as you can see here with my bullets, every 11 seconds, an older adult is treated in the ER for a fall. Every 19 minutes, an older adult unfortunately dies from a fall. So falls are things that are really important for us to be conscious of. So much so that if you worry about falling, you're also less likely to be involved in activities because you're afraid of what might happen to you if you fall, or would that cause you to fall? So, which also leads to things like decline in being social, depression, that kind of thing. So we want to prepare for those things and know that we have done the right things to protect ourselves. So let's look at some pictures here. Remodeling. So here's one thing that, we had mentioned earlier in the presentation today that my husband and I and my son are real estate agents. So we're in houses all the time. And here's some of the things that we see in older homes: sunken living rooms, sunken dining rooms. And as you can see here in this particular picture, that tile, if that blue tape wasn't there, is very easy to see that it runs on from one tile to the next. You may not even know it's there. How about this one? Look at that beautiful scenery out that window. Could you imagine going to visit that person and walking straight ahead because you want to sit on that lovely couch and look at that window? And guess what? There's a step there. Did you see it? I've got an arrow there to point to it. But I myself have walked into homes to take a client to or talk to a client about, not realizing that there was a step down. I've actually last year fell down the stairs because I backed through the entrance of the doorway, backing up so that I could talk to the seller, not realizing that there was a step down just like this one. And I can tell you, when I hit the ground, it was pretty painful. Didn't break anything, but it sure did remind me the importance of paying attention to where I'm walking. So step downs and sunken living rooms in older homes can be a problem if you don't attend to those things and you're staying in your home. So here's some ideas on, well, what could I do with that? Well, you can have what's called on the left side here a subfloor. So they can raise the floor up to where it meets the stairwell, like you see right here that I'm pointing to, or the step down. You can raise that floor up, and then they'll put wood across here, and you can put carpet across, and now it's one flowing surface. Or in some cases, depending upon the size of your room, other contractors will put concrete in there. So the difference between the two is that if this isn't done right, the floor could creak. That might drive you crazy. If it is done right, it shouldn't. If you want to make sure that it's never going to creak, then the concrete might also be an option for you to consider. Again, having an assessment gives you kind of an idea of what are my options. How about our bathrooms? Bathrooms are a big deal to us. If you are not a bath taker any longer, my husband and I are just getting ready to do this in our house. I want to extend the shower out and take the tub out in our master bath. That's going to be really wonderful because it'll be a big walk-in shower. And some of you might be thinking, oh no, I can't do that because every bathroom has to have a tub and a shower. And I will tell you, not so. As long as one of the bathrooms in your home, if you have a 2-bedroom home, 2-bathroom home, has a tub, you're good to go. So not to worry about that. You'll find in a lot of senior communities now, there are showers in the bathrooms instead of tubs because they're kind of cumbersome to get in and out of depending upon what your health level's like. But look here. So in this case, the cabinets have been removed underneath the counter. If you are using a walker or you're using a wheelchair, you could roll right in and take care of your business there. Whereas the other side of this bathroom that you're not seeing, it actually has the full countertop with the cabinets and everything underneath. So only one side's been retrofitted. Here's another idea: setting up a roll-in shower and setting up a vanity that you could roll under as well. These are all doable. This is actually a shower kit that you can put in there. It has a hard finish. You don't have to worry about the grout or anything in there, but it's really nice because it's easy to keep clean. You can hose it off and you can roll in and out. Here's another idea: grab bars. And for most of us, if we feel like we're really needing something to hang on to, this is a good idea. There's several in here, and I want to bring one point to you that I've heard from a lot of the new builders that are out there. People confuse the toilet paper holder as a bar that you can grab on to help yourself up. It's not. It's probably going to hurt you more than it's going to help you up because it can't take on the weight. So having something closer by that you can grab on is going to be so much better. My mother-in-law had this in her first apartment when she moved to independent living. There was actually a tub that was converted, and this opens up so she could step into the tub. Now that was for her taking a shower versus stepping over. But this is another idea that you can do. Or you can have a walk-in tub, which I see a lot of times in homes. And I will tell you, when I first saw that as a real estate agent, I thought, oh, I wonder how that's going to resell. But you know, a lot of people like it because it's like sitting in a big hot tub. And they drain really quick, much quicker than a tub itself. So that might be another option for you. Here again, we just have a picture of being able to go right up to the sink and not have to worry about anything. There's a barrier preventing you from doing that. How about this idea? If you're still in a 2-story house, and I have a couple of people that we've been talking to that are still living in a 2-story home, they don't go upstairs anymore, except when they need to take something up to storage, maybe the Christmas decorations, that kind of thing. But here's an idea: you could retrofit your stairwell with a stool or a chair that you can actually ride up to the top and ride back down. A lot safer than trying to navigate your way up and down stairs, especially if you're not sure of yourself. I have a client that put in an elevator in their home. And while that looks large, it really isn't very large at all. It's got a plexiglass finish to the outside of it. And you can see here that you could actually put a wheelchair in it, and that person can ride to the second level and back down, which is really nice. That company is someone called, their name is Stilts, like stilts for the tall guy that you see at the circus. They do a great job with the installation and support of that. Let's talk about walking into your house. Having a ramp and a lower threshold is so much more important versus you having to climb higher up, especially if you are using a wheelchair or a walker. It's easier for you to navigate your way up to the front door this way than it might be if there were stairs for you to climb up. Same thing here. Here you actually have something almost to hang on to. You've got the wall to support you as well as this side wall here versus going up the stairs to get into the home. This one is really interesting because it's something that can be installed while you live in your home. It works great for you to be able to get into your home. And at the time that you've decided that you're going to do something different, maybe it's time for senior living, or maybe you're going to move to another location to be closer to your children. This is something that can come off. So it's not something that you have to leave with your home if your future buyer is not as fond of it as you are. Handrails are always helpful. Handrails here are always helpful to get you in and out versus a free form. So how will these modifications impact the resale of your home's value? Like I mentioned a couple of times before, it depends on what you do. The big shower is going to increase the value. The removable ramp is going to be something that's not going to impact you too much because it's something that goes away. The kitchen is something that everybody loves, and as long as there's storage space that's available, that's probably not going to change the resale value. But important to have an assessment done before you make the changes so that you know going into it that eventually when you are ready to make that change, how is that going to change the way that people look at your home that might be interested in it once you're finished with it? Where do I find trusty contractors? So what I did here was I gave you some ideas on people that you can call: Home Advisor, Andy's List, Angie's List, Good Contractors List. Check with your real estate agent. We always have a list of people that we've vetted ourselves that we use when the situation arises. I think that this slide is a great slide because you know what? We're all looking for a deal all the time. But the bitterness of poor quality remains long after the sweetness of low price is forgotten. I know that my parents have said, and I probably have said to my son as well, you get what you pay for. So it's really important to take a good look at that. If I'm going to make an investment to live in my home longer, I want to make sure that it's something that's good for me and good for moving forward. Payment options: cash, credit card, home equity, line of credit. Some of you may have gotten that already. There are things that you can do that's called a home equity conversion mortgage. Some people call them a reverse mortgage. People do that to stay in their home. My parents had a reverse mortgage line of credit so that if they needed somebody to come in for home health, that they would have that to tap into versus using some of their other investments. There are grants that are available out there. There's volunteer programs that are available. Check to see what works best for you and what you're comfortable with. Let's talk about the pros and cons of all we've learned today. So the pros: the cost can be less to stay in home. Familiarity with the neighborhood if you still have people living there that you know. Higher services to fill in the gaps. Home care, like we talked about, lawn services, like we talked about, dog walking. The comfort of living in your own home, your own things, and a sense of independence. I don't need to do that. I can stay at home. What might some of the cons be? Safety concerns, adding home care assistance, and the expense of that, because over time that's going to become more expensive. The risk of falls, maintaining your home, and loneliness and isolation. Those are the cons. So why would we consider moving? Well, here's some ideas to consider as well. And some of you that are with us today have already done this, so you may have some input at the end of our seminar today. A retirement community or an active 55 active living community, they're already equipped for you to age in place. They've thought about all these things that we've talked about. It's a lock and leave lifestyle. If the hot water isn't in that faucet when you go to get in the shower in the morning, you don't have to call a serviceman. You call somebody. Hey, come fix my hot water heater. Social interaction. You've got people all around you that love to have the same conversations and memories about that time in your life that you had as well. Maintenance free. I love that idea. And there's lots of activities and lots of amenities that you can take part in or not. Aging in the right place alternatives, like I mentioned, active 55 plus homes. There's communities like Del Webb out there that build smaller homes for people that want to age in place and have a home of their own to live in. Universal design means that they are very sensitive to wider doorways, areas that you can turn around in if you are wheelchair bound or on a walker. Then there's independent, there's active 55 apartments, same kind of idea as homes like this, senior apartments. You're still cooking, you're paying utilities. It's kind of like your first apartment, but you're not receiving meals every day. Whereas for independent living, assisted, and continuing care, you have an apartment as well, but there are more amenities that are coming with that and they're factored into your rent. Meals, activities, a lot of those things that are factored into your rent. Here on this little chart that we have, and it's in our book as well, just kind of gives you an idea of the different options for senior living. And more today, so I would have to say this year, especially because we've been so aware of older adults and what's available for them. But leading up to this, we found that a lot of people think that for seniors making a change in their home, they're going to move to assisted living right away. And as you can see here, assisted living is really when you need a little bit higher level of care. You need assistance with bathing, dressing, medication. If you're not there yet, there are homes aging in place. There are garden homes, condos, townhomes, smaller homes. All of those are built, and the idea behind those are for people that just want something more manageable. But they still want to do a lot of those things that I mentioned earlier, like cooking for themselves. Independent living, on the other hand, is very similar to what we have over here in the blue bar. You have a full kitchen. You can cook if you want to, but you also have the opportunity to go down to the dining room and have breakfast and lunch or dinner every day. You've got housekeeping that comes in during the week. You've got lots of maintenance opportunities that are taken care of for you. You have security. So those doors lock after a certain time in the evening, and you have to have a key fob to get in, which would be the same thing for the active 55 apartments. As we move forward here, we talked about assisted living. Memory care is, again, a higher level of care. People that are experiencing cognitive issues, dementia, Alzheimer's, we need to really make sure that they're safe and secure. So that was where a higher level of security is enforced. And you may not necessarily have your own apartment. You might be sharing an apartment with another individual. And all three meals are provided in the same place for everybody every day. Skilled nursing, of course, is 24-hour care, and skilled nursing is also a place where you may go if you have a hip replacement or a knee replacement for you to rehab until you're able to go home by yourself. Same thing goes for assisted living. The last one that we have here, the gold bar, life care community or continuing care community, that is a community that offers all of those things: independent, assisted, and memory, and for some, skilled nursing as well, all on the same campus. So the only changes that you would experience there would be if you can no longer, if you need a higher level of care, you may move from the independent floor to the assisted floor. Some of these communities have a buy-in where you pay a certain amount of money to move in there, and then you pay for your rent as well. Some of them that are out there are also continuing care communities, but they don't have the large buy-in. And we can share more with you on a one-on-one basis if you have an interest there. So evaluating a community or a neighborhood. So important things as you start to look around just to see what's out there for me. Speak to the marketing representative. Right now, I believe that they're taking appointments. Some of them are not touring their communities right now. They're actually doing more of a virtual tour. Ask questions about the community. What are things like there? What do people do there? Schedule a tour if you can. Be sure to look at the floor plans because you want to know, are my things going to fit in there? And surprisingly enough, if you're coming from a, let's say, 2,000 square foot home and you're going to be renting a 750 square foot apartment, you might think, oh no, there's no way, that's too small for me. But you would be surprised at how nice it feels once you get in there because you really don't need all those things when you're right sizing. Enjoy a social event if you can. Later in the year, that's probably going to be a real possibility to see what do people do there? How do people gather? And talk to the residents if you can, because they're going to tell you how they feel about living in that community. Seek help from qualified professionals, realtors, people that specialize in seniors like ourselves, estate liquidators, because you're probably not going to need everything once you decide to make that move. Who can help me get rid of the things that I no longer need? Who can help me pack? Who can help me move? I need to have some repairs done in my home before I decide to let go of it. Senior living communities, organizers, seek help from people that have connections to those types of services. Our team specializes in seniors. We assist boomers and seniors and children of aging parents. We work specifically with vendors that are providers of senior services. We're real picky about that because it's important to respect your needs and your timeline, not theirs. When is it good for you? What are your thoughts about doing things? What does your future look like? We like to say that we offer a complete solution here at the Sullivan team and senior downsizing experts. Sign up for a free in-home assessment. We have a link for you here to do that we'll provide again for you later so that you can just see, what do I need to do to make my home age in place ready? And now we're ready, Zoe, for some questions.
All right. Let me let me add myself as a, goodness gracious. There we go. There we go. Now I'm a side-by-side host there. All right. Well, anyone, if you have any questions, please feel free to put those into the chat box and we will take care of that for you. I'm going to stop your share, Ingrid, so people can see.
Oh, great.
us.
Yeah.
Great. Nice and big and clear.
Yeah.
All right. So I am going to start off with a question because my husband always laughs at me and he says that I'm weird because I constantly go on realtor.com and I'm looking at homes and the cost of homes. And I'm always looking at our neighborhood and what's for sale and what's going on. And is it true from what I'm seeing that it is a seller's market very much right now?
Yes, it is. Actually, what we're experiencing is what we call a lack of inventory, which is what makes it a seller's market. There are a lot of people that are moving into our area from different parts of the country and because of their job or other purposes, and they're looking for places that they need to purchase. And if it's in decent shape and it's in a decent location, I've got to tell you, they go quickly, very quickly. It's kind of frustrating for buyers right now.
Yeah, I could see that
because they're writing one offer after another and missing one right after the other.
Oh, that's tough. That's really tough. I mean, I'm just going to say though, I'm going to be selling my house in the spring. I hope it stays that way. No.
It probably will.
Okay, so we do have some questions coming in. So Sue Johnson was wondering if a buy-in option really makes sense.
It really kind of depends on if you're set up for that. I will tell you that there are people that have said absolutely for me, because what happens is a lot of these communities that are continuing care retirement communities, their promise to you is that they will keep you for the rest of your life. So whether you run out of money or not, now they're not all that way. So you just need to check to see. But a lot of people like the idea of not having to move around anymore. They move to one place, they stay there, they know everybody there, and it's the last move they'll ever make before they go to heaven.
Right. Right. And that is awfully convenient, I will say. So, okay. So someone said they're not ready to move for a year or two, but um, what is the charge, and are there people possible? I mean, gosh, this is probably a service that you guys could provide for someone to come look at the house and help them know what repairs they should be doing, painting, anything that needs to be done to the house before they would sell.
We do consultations like that all the time, so all over the metroplex, because for a lot of our clients, it's a year, sometimes it's a year or two before they move.
Mm-hmm.
But they really want to make sure that if there's something that needs to be done, they have time to get it done,
Right.
and they want to know what are the right things to do, so they're not spending money on things that will not benefit them. So
Right.
yes, we do help with that.
Yeah, because a lot of times the things that you think are going to make a big difference really, really don't. So,
Yeah. And I
um,
would tell you one thing in particular, just briefly, is if you're thinking about putting new carpet in your house right now, I would tell you probably not to do that. Because what we find a lot of times is once the house is sold, the first thing that goes on the curb, the new carpet, because the new buyer wants a hard surface. So that would be one little tip I could add.
interesting, interesting.
And I want to add, there's not a charge for that consultation either, because she asked that in the question as well. So
Right.
Yeah, no
Right.
charge.
Yep. Yep. Okay, so children don't live in Texas, so they might move to be near one of them in a few years. So thought they could do a buy-in, but it doesn't seem to make good sense as they would not likely be there till the end. Yeah.
So the answer to that, or the comment that I want to make about that, is that you want to be selective about where you move if you're going to go into a buy-in, because they all have a percentage. So let's say you move in, let's use this scenario. You move in, you live there for a year, and you decide this is just not for me. Or I'm going to move east and be with my sister, something like that. There's a certain percentage of what you paid to buy in that they're going to give back to you. They're not going to hang on to all of it. There's going to be some you'll get back. The
Right.
longer you stay, the less you're going to get back.
Right. Yes. Okay, so for like estate liquidators, do they only deal with furniture and major appliances, or will they deal with everything?
Everything. But
Everything.
here's the important part of that. When you have an estate liquidator, first of all, you want to make sure that you're working with someone that does it for a living, not somebody that does it for a hobby.
Right.
And they all have a certain amount that they have to do a sale, which is another reason for the assessment. On my team, for example, just about every home that I have sold over the last 5 to 10 years, because we work with seniors, has an estate sale.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm coming out to do an assessment or a consultation, I can pretty much have a look and tell whether or not there's enough for an estate sale. And if there isn't, I have a buyout guy that would suffice and take care of that as well. We try to make sure we've got something for everything.
Right, right. So that pretty much, I think, answers Robert's question. He was asking, do you do living estate sales, or is eBay better?
Well, I would tell you that a living estate sale, that's 90% of the estate sales today are living estate sales.
Yeah.
If you want to do eBay, that's really something that you're going to be doing more of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, if you're wanting to stay in your home, but you have things that you still want to get out of there, declutter, you could do online auction. That way you can put those things on auction, and there's only going to be one day that would be the pickup day, and still stay in your home.
Yeah. One thing I found too I love those online estate sales. Believe me, I check them out all myself all the time. I've bought from them. But the great thing about that option for someone is I know I have a million things that I would love to list for sale on eBay. You don't know what to price it at. You've got to take all the pictures yourself. You've got to do all the descriptions. And sometimes the amount of work that you put into doing eBay listings for stuff like that is not worth, I mean, it's just not worth it. I can't tell you the number. Oh God, it's a headache. But anyway, but it's something to take into consideration for
It's
sure.
kind of the same thing with garage sales.
Yeah.
There are people out there that love to do garage sales. And the majority of us do not like to do them. So you just
Mhm.
have to be smart enough to know how long you're going to do it, how you're going to price it,
Yep.
or seek out somebody that actually does that service that can do that for you.
Yeah.
Unless you feel like you're just, you're going to be really good at it.
I'm the terrible one at garage sales. Well, I just put everything
Patience is the
outside.
key.
Yeah, I just like whatever you'll give me for it is fine.
Get it out of here.
All right. Okay. So this actually, and you might even know some examples of better options, but someone made the comment that they've looked at some over 55 community builds for the active older adults, and that they still seem pretty large for a single person and costly. Do you maybe have any suggestions or recommendations that you could make outside of here even?
Well, yes. There are lots of different active 55 communities. So I'm talking apartments now.
Mhm.
And in some cases, their apartments are 500 square feet or 580 square feet. They are smaller. As far as the pricing is concerned, there are new ones that are coming on the market now that actually start at a lower price point, more along the lines of the 1,200, 1,300 a month versus the 1,700, 2,100 a month.
Mhm.
And we have some relationships with those new communities that we could help somebody to take a look at and get some ideas on.
Okay. Okay, great. And I know you mentioned, and in case they were referring to like new home communities
Uh-huh.
too,
Hmm.
you mentioned Del Webb earlier. I know I was talking to someone from them not too long ago, and I want to say they had a house that was something along the lines of like 900 square feet. That I was like, ooh, that's perfect for my mother-in-law. So, um,
There
yeah.
are those out there, and Del Webb was the creator of that. So
Mhm.
initially, up north,
Mhm.
I'm saying Frisco, McKinney, those areas there, Little Elm.
Mhm.
That's where you're going to find the Del Webbs, but they
Yep.
weren't any other places
Yeah.
in the DFW Metroplex. Well, since then, that has really changed. There are
Yes.
more and more 55 plus home communities, gated communities out there. We have relationships with all of them because, it's a part of our business.
Mhm.
And in most cases, they do start with small footprints. Some of them even have duplexes.
Hmm.
Uh, we have, if it'd be all right for me to say, Dallas Fort Worth Senior Living is our website,
Of course.
and Debbie has set up quite an extensive search for active 55 homes for them to take a look at. Dallas Fort Worth Senior Living, and or give us a call with questions because we do work with them quite a bit.
Yep. Yep. So someone had asked about wanting to find a reputable contractor to evaluate their systems. Is that a service, something that you could help someone with?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, we
perfect.
can.
So yeah, Marilyn, what I would suggest is reach out to Ingrid and the team over at Sullivan and Sullivan. I love that you made the joke, but that you not the joke, but you said that you're Sullivan, Sullivan, and Sullivan now. I think that's fantastic. Anyway, all right. Let's
Just need a
see.
Superman suit or something like that with three S's on it.
Right? It's great. Okay, so I definitely can address this question, and Ingrid, you probably can too, but if you can't, I can. They asked about if communities are restricting access for coming and going if you live there due to COVID restrictions.
Well, I'll give you an example, and I'm sure that you can follow up with that. I do know that we actually have a client right now that we've been working with in independent living specifically. What's important is everybody wants to stay safe.
Mm-hmm.
And realistically, they would like it if you would stay at home more than out and about like you have done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But they're realistic as well, as long as we're practicing safely. There's a certain amount of time that they do want people to quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
We did have someone that lived in assisted living that was still driving and wanting to come and go every single day. And the community had to put some restrictions there for her at that time. And this was in June. And she has moved home with family because of that, because she wanted to come and go more.
Right.
It's just really a matter of being safe and practicing that with each other respectfully.
Yeah, yeah. And that's exactly, Ingrid brings up a really good point. I haven't heard of any independent living or retirement communities necessarily that have put those restrictions on, but I have heard of communities that have multiple levels of care that have put those types of restrictions
Especially
on.
on the
So
same campus.
yeah, so that means like the one in particular, and I'm not going to name names that I'm thinking of, yes, they have independent living in a building, but in that same building, they also have assisted living, they also have memory care. And so as to not compromise the safety of the other residents that were living there, they did restrict leaving the community. And if anyone did, then they had to quarantine outside the community for the 14 days before they could come back. And anywho, but that's a kind of a big, but yeah, as Ingrid said, it's mostly just anyone that I've heard of that's doing it. It's because it is a community that offers medical care in
Yes.
not, it offers a level of personal medical care.
Right.
Okay. So I hope that answers that question.
Just keeping this in mind in the beginning, they all practice that
Mm-hmm.
at stricter levels. But as
Yep.
time goes on, and it just kind of depends on the community itself, especially independent, certain things that were not allowed are not frowned upon now, whereas they would have been. But if things were to get intense again, it would all go back to that, because it's
Yeah.
about protecting people.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, the nice thing is, and I will say this too, is, people who are in communities are getting higher priority to the vaccine. And I know that's something that was brought up earlier. I don't want to open that can of worms because I don't know the specifics of it, but they are being offered the vaccine earlier because they are in a senior living environment. So something to think about also. In regards to questions, I think that's got us covered.